Good morning, all, and happy Saturday. Welcome to another episode of Drink Up. Today, our guest is Hallie Turner with Per Se. Morning, Hallie.
Morning.
Before we get into it, as always, good morning also to my co host, Sam Anderson. Good morning, Sam.
Morning, morning, Hallie.
We will of course give our shout outs to. I gotta start just writing these down and doing them in the same order so I don't have to look up and think about it. But we'll start with Sam and Alicia at Bev Assets. We'll start with Jay Williams at Freebird. No, bring it up. Jay's had, what, Burt Kreischer and NASCAR events. He had a nice post about Kyle Busch, RIP, recently, passing a little too soon. But Jay and the team have been doing so many cool things. Um, See, Sam and Alicia, Jay, myself, and Alias Advising, and then Ryan Halliman and On the Rocks Advisors. Ryan and I have had a whirlwind few weeks. I think we brought on like 4 or 5 new clients, which is crazy, and I'm not complaining. It's been great. So yeah, shout out to our sponsors, and with that, we'll get into it. So, Hallie, I'll try to tee it up. Obviously, tell your version as well. But Hallie and I know each other from years ago. Uh, we kind of met tangentially through a gentleman I was a colleague with at a startup that he and I were both working at, and he met Hallie at an NA event, and kind of that's where the connection started. And then just in the last couple weeks, we'll talk about it. There was some LinkedIn follow up because we're all entrepreneurs and trying to do that better, and that led to this conversation, which led to us being here today. So Hallie, welcome, and give us a little bit of a rundown on you and what we're going to talk about today.
And we
Yeah,
are streaming
excellent.
live on LinkedIn, so it did work, Adam and Hallie.
It did
So
work.
we're
Excellent.
there. So you did something right. So
Yeah.
I'm forever
Perfect.
confident now that you own it from going forward, everybody. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Adam's going to
Uh,
be posting up our future episodes into one. Sorry to interrupt
Nice.
your flow, Hallie.
no flow interrupted. Great to see you all innovating. That's kind of like a theme of one of the conversations today, right? Putting ourselves out there sometimes before we're ready and trying new things. So thanks again for having me, Hallie. I am with Per Se. We make canned, ready to drink cocktails. We were founded, I say 5 years ago. We even just celebrated our fifth anniversary. Candidly, we were founded in 2019 when we first started formulating. Our recipes were ready March 6th, 2020. How unfortunate. We spent the first year of the pandemic trying to figure out how to be a business and then kind of launched in first in bottles under a different business name in 2021. So we were built on the premise that a drink without alcohol should still be a good drink. And so we also say that we're fun, not functional. So we use juice, tea, herbs, spices to layer flavors for a full flavor, sophisticated drink experience. I've learned a lot about building a system that wasn't designed for us, partly because I am a part time entrepreneur, and in my day job, I do transportation policy. And folks view me as a very unlikely entrepreneur, and yet I think there's a lot of coalescing. And part of the reason why I like to do things like this is to also have a story out there where you can be multi passionate, you can have kind of multiple things. I think in our world, we're kind of forced to choose, and many people have told me that I will not have a business if I insist on having a day job, and I would like to prove people wrong. It does mean that my growth looks different, and I will say not every day do I trust that process, and that's something that I look forward to unpacking, and I know that we have a lot of great conversation ahead of us.
Very cool. I'm gonna quote. I'm gonna try not to be weird. I'm gonna quote out lyrics. No such thing as halfway crooks, right? Like whether it's 10 hours a week or 100, an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. So well done either way. Um, in that, just in general, first and second. I think Sam and I we've had hundreds of episodes at this point, talked to so many people where shooting for the you're swinging for the fences and shooting for the moon, fine, right? Like don't get me wrong, people do it, but you said two things. A, my story looks a little bit different. Like slow and steady does not mean bad, right?
Correct.
And B, the I am determined to prove them wrong. Like if ever there was a single phrase that was like, tell me you're an entrepreneur without telling me you're an entrepreneur, well, this is the way it's always been done. Fuck that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
agree.
Yeah, right. So you mentioned fun, not functional. Let's start there. Like, obviously, functional beverages are still having a moment, whether it's protein, nootropics,
Yep.
salt, the list goes on. And it sounds like you guys decided to take a different approach of like, this is just enjoyable. If there is some function to it, cool, but that's not the main priority. So tell us a little bit about how you landed there and how that's been resonating with people.
Yeah, I will say it wasn't complicated. I wanted to make the drink that I wanted to drink. And for me, what I was looking for was a sophisticated adult option that happened to not have alcohol. It's not to say that I haven't tried or don't enjoy functional beverages, but I will say for me personally, some of them don't taste particularly good. But more than that,
Sure.
some of them don't feel good. I am someone with
Sure.
some chronic health issues, and so there's some misunderstanding about what maybe the functional ingredients do or don't do. And so, like any given moment, it felt like a little bit of a gamble. So, I just needed something a little bit more straightforward and decided that I
Sure.
wanted to lead first with flavor. Also, at the end of the day, the best selling beverage in the world is Coke, like Coke normal, not Coke Zero, not Diet Coke. It's just Coke, because people want a good tasting beverage at the end of the day.
Sure.
So, do I think
Yeah.
there's space for functional? For sure. But I also think
Yeah.
that there's space for fun. In this moment, it does mean that we have to fight a little bit harder for space because folks will come up to us and be like, "What do you offer? What's it doing?" And I'm like, "It's helping you have a good time, but you won't get high." And so it actually requires me to spend more time explaining how it doesn't have anything. It happens to
Yeah.
have no alcohol, less sugar. That is it.
Well, it's a
It's
nice
good.
alternative to NA beer too, right? So
Yeah.
when I go out, I don't want to drink, but I'll have like an NA beer. So to find more brands like you, like Per
Yeah.
Se, it gives an opportunity to experiment other things and other than a Sprite, a cranberry juice, a water. It seems like
Yeah.
that seems to be when you even go to like a stadium. It's like, yeah, we have NA products. Yeah, I got water, Sprite, and Coke.
Exactly.
I'm like, that's not an NA. I want something a little bit different. Maybe I want to, experience, something from Per Se and stuff.
Mhm.
So I think you're bringing a lot of people that don't want to partake, so to speak, and that's okay if you want to partake, but at least I can take your product and still participate, right?
Absolutely.
And I love that.
And that was the reason for the business, Sam. Like again, not complicated. In my day job, I go to a lot of networking events. They have these beautiful bars at happy hour. I would walk up and be like, "What do you have for non-alcoholic?" And they point me to Coke. And I was like, "I don't drink soda. I want another option. I'm not paying $5 for water." That's why I founded this business. I wanted more options to partake, to be
Sure.
able to participate in professional events.
That's
Very cool.
that is awesome. And you're in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Sure am.
Is your brand sold nationwide, or are you just here in Minnesota? Where do you distribute at?
Yeah, we're distributed mostly across the upper Midwest. So we have
Okay.
account and a couple of miscellaneous accounts. So we have like a couple in New Jersey, Georgia, but generally we are between Eastern Pennsylvania and the Dakotas, and that's where the majority of our accounts are. Biggest footprint in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa.
Gotcha. And when you say you have a few accounts outside, are you doing that through direct to consumer? Then when you have a few accounts outside, or you have an active distributor in those areas?
Through Fair. Fair has actually been like a pretty good platform for us to find one-offs. This is still, I know NA is exploding and there's no playbook. It's still really hard to know kind of the places and spaces that you need to play, especially because we are just talking about how we're fun, not functional. What works for functional doesn't necessarily work for us. And
Yep.
so Fair is one location that really helps us to like fill strategic gaps and find people that are big believers in our product. So there is one account in New Jersey that's ordering like every other week, which is great.
Holy
That's
shit.
amazing.
Good for
So,
you.
I mean, that's to talk about reorders, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
some.
exactly.
So, do you think is distributions better than reorders? What do you? It's a loaded question, but like everybody
Yeah,
wanted me to talk about it earlier, right? Like, get me in 1,000 accounts. Can you
yeah,
kind of walk us through your journey of like, okay, you started around 2020, I think you said there was a name change. I think I caught that earlier.
yeah.
Um, like, like, walk us through kind of like where you started, kind of where you're at now, but what you did to get there. We'd love to really understand that because I think people would appreciate the journey.
Yeah, it's muddled. So our name was originally Muddle and Mint. So it
Okay.
feels appropriate to use the
That's
word
where I know you
muddle.
from.
Uh, uh, What was that?
I'm
Is
so
that where
sorry
we
to
met?
interrupt.
Yeah.
That's where I know you from. So it was
Ah,
Paul.
yeah.
And then I was like, God, that can, because I'm back on the website and I've been there before. I'm like, that's can artwork. Look, it was at Finnegan's. It was on the second floor of Finnegan's
Yes.
when they had that NA event, and
Yeah.
Paul was running the illicit booth. He said he had talked to you. That's where it connected because I walked over and I was like, hey, like another Minnesota business, blah, blah, blah. I think you had talked to, and I don't know if you worked with them or whatever, but you talked to BevSource a little
Hmm.
bit,
Hmm.
and I had worked there, and so there was that connection.
Good
That's
memory.
it. It finally
Yeah.
clicked in my mind. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
couldn't keep
You
my
got
mouth
it.
shut. Go on.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
no, it's great.
it's definitely muddled.
Yeah, yeah, it is muddled. And so I would say I don't know if I have a lot of like wise words, but more like hard lessons learned after the fact. So you were ultimately asking about like distribution for doors versus reorders. I would say for us it was a yes and. We were having a hard time getting accounts without distribution. People loved our product. They were super interested. They already work with 15 different distributors. They really didn't want to work with a bunch of one-off brands. So, especially where we wanted kind of more concentrated, activated presence like Minnesota, it was really helpful for us to have a distributor. That was also not a linear path. We ended up having one distributor that maybe wasn't the obvious ally, but was a really big believer in our product, smaller footprint. We then went with a bigger statewide distributor that was trying to use our product to solve their problem and was kind of muddling our messaging. It didn't go well. We went back to the smaller distributor. Larger, kind of more broadly across the US, we have been working kind of one off or with smaller distributors or through Fair, Mabel to be able to find accounts that are big believers, and reorders are really important across the board. So I would say for anyone that's venturing into this, it's a yes and. Like you need to be like boots on the ground, like trying to find your people in whatever places and spaces they play, and a really robust strategy doing kind of direct relationship or through Fair can also in an area, like if you have 10 accounts or 20 accounts that are getting really great reorders, you can then take that to a distributor as leverage to get that as well. So I wouldn't say either or, but yes and you got to be really strategic. At the end of the day, reorders above everything else.
So you started this journey. So can you walk me through kind of year 1 through 6? It can be
Yeah.
brief, but basically, when you started year 1, how many accounts did you get in?
Year one, ooh, five before we had a distributor. So
That's
I did
okay.
found,
No, I want
yeah,
the reality here
yeah,
because
yeah,
I tell people this story. You gotta, maybe you've heard it, but you know who Jim Cook is, founder of Awesome Beer?
yeah,
And maybe Jim will come on here one day because I keep on mentioning him every week.
yeah.
But
Stop
I
by now.
read,
Yeah.
Jim didn't tell me this, but I read, how many accounts do you think he got in his first year in Boston?
Oh, I have no idea.
30.
Wow.
30, right? Tito Beverage, Tito's. How long do you think it took him to actually turn a profit?
Uh, Years, I'm presuming.
10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
10 years, right?
Yeah.
So five, but those five, you activated them. You just didn't get distribution. So talk about those five you got your first year.
Oh,
How
yeah.
did you build on that?
I want to tell you how we got our first one. So back many years ago, I was paying down student debt. So I was going to say that I founded this with my partner, who is also my husband. Partner is kind of better term for what we do because we actually have two businesses together.
Yeah.
So both of us were paying down debt. He was working at a cannery in Alaska. I got a part-time job at a liquor store. Couple years later, we launched then Muddle and Mint. I wrote a love letter to this liquor store to convince them to like bring us on. They didn't even open it. They're like, yeah, just give us 2 cases. But that was our first account.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just like,
So what did the letter say? How did you convince him to order 2 cases without tasting it? What did you say?
yeah, I said that I really liked their relatively small footprint, but they do a really good job curating a variety of products. And they were
Yeah.
some of the first in the area here in St. Paul to also have non-alcoholic options. So they have kind of like an ear to what's happening and they try to be early to trends. Um, and they were just like really supportive of me. And I think the way that I convinced them is I was a hard worker. So they're like, yeah, great.
That
We'll
is
bring you
awesome.
on and see how it
That was
goes.
your goal. That was your golden egg, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you
yeah.
got your first one. And so, how did you work that account? So, how did you
Yeah.
build upon that? What did you do once
Yeah.
they you got the distribution?
So for that one in particular, again, reorders were really important. So we would like pound the pavement in the area and say like the more accounts we have in the area, like the more people will be looking for this product. It is kind of rising tides lifts all ships currently. And we also did demos. You got to get the liquid to lips, right? So we had to have ways for people to be able to try the product. But then having kind of that one account led to a couple other accounts because you have proof of concept. We're at First Grand Ave. People love that liquor store. People really respect it. So it gave us credibility. We were able to leverage that for a few other accounts. And then we're able to take those accounts for distribution.
And have you been doing that same playbook going forward?
To the extent that we can. We were talking before the call started that not everyone is responsive. So it does require a little bit of like scatter shot of phone calls, emails, lots of unreturned communication. But yeah,
Yeah,
generally like pound the pavement, get a few accounts, and then leverage it.
that's awesome. So, how many accounts
So
are you in
I gotta
currently?
jump in here.
Oh, good, good.
I was like, I gotta jump in real quick because I keep refreshing LinkedIn. We got, and I apologize if I'm butchering this, but Farhat, who's I don't know if he's joining us for the first time. We're not connected, so welcome. Thanks for coming in. Peter, good to see you. Chris, good to see you. I think that's it in the comments so far. But Peter had a
There's some
question. Peter
comments though.
and
Good.
Jeff.
Good.
Oh,
You can grab the comments.
yeah, yep. So we got a bunch of hellos, happy Saturdays. Peter asked, has Hallie found it difficult to get the messaging or brand recognized or understood by distributors? If so, what did they change or do differently? So you were touching
Oh,
on it a little bit, but take us a level
yeah.
deeper on landing that message.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, it's still in process, partly because the market itself is evolving so much. And I'm
Sure.
evolving. Like my tastes have
Sure.
changed as I have been longer in this industry. I still identify as a drinker, but I quit drinking 2 years ago. So like even my palate is changing and how I
Oh
talk
wow.
about things is different. At any rate, so previous distributor brought us in to be a mixer. And so they were using our product to leverage their liquor accounts. And so they would
Sure.
use us as an incremental sale of like, hey, we have this great tequila that pairs really well with this Paloma. Oh, by the way, it happens to be NA. And so one of the struggles of working with distributors is you lose control over how your product gets messaged. And in an emerging market like non-alcoholic drinks, non-alcoholic cocktails, that messaging is so important. And so we were still like trying to claw back some of that control somewhat
Hmm.
unsuccessfully because one of our better distributors right now is still pushing us as like a premium mixer. So the way that we're trying to do that, only history will tell if we're successful, is doing more
Right.
education. So trying to be more present with the sales staff, we're providing them more collateral. I send monthly distributor updates that have like a couple of key messages that I repeat ad nauseum to try to get them to adopt our language about how we talk about the product.
Hmm.
And I also can't deny that how they're selling our product is by being a premium mixer. Like if I kind of force them to change and they don't believe in that change, then we're going to see a decrease in sales. So some of it is I kind of have to be
Yeah.
Can't you
willing
be
to
both?
relinquish. It's hard.
Can't-
You can, but
And
it's really hard for the consumer.
can't you be both? Can't you
You
be a
can, but it's
mixer
really
and
hard.
a? I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, like people, the moment, because we say like on the can non-alcoholic cocktails, but if I say mixer, they'll be like, well, then what is it? Like, is it a mixer or
Right.
is it a
So
mocktail?
you got to pick a lane and be really focused
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's
Hmm.
kind of what we learned when we were Muddle and Mint because we even said mixer or mocktail. And then we even had the privilege of doing the New Beverage Showdown at BevNet in New York. And everyone on the panel was like, well, what is it? Is it a mixer or a mocktail? Like, choose
Hmm.
one. And so some of the
Hmm.
feedback that I had heard earlier in my career, which I do agree, is the riches are in the niches. You kind of like got to decide what you are. People who know how to make a drink will know that this is a mixer. We really wanted to expand the options for sophisticated non-alcoholic cocktails. So to ultimately not answer the question, it's hard. And like we're still trying to figure it out in real time, but the best thing that we can do is get clear on our messaging and repeat it every time, every platform, get FaceTime with sales staff, FaceTime with accounts, repeat the messages, and hopefully they'll come on board.
How do you get the
I'm
beverage directors and bartenders and mixologists on board with the program? Like, what do you say to them? Like, what kind of objections are they giving you, and how you've
Yeah.
gotten them on board?
Uh, Liquid to lips. At the end of the day, our product is premium, and that is like the biggest believer. There was one account in particular that we walked into. They had their own program, and the person was, and we walked up to the owner, and the owner. So we walked up to the decision maker, and they were like, "Thanks, no thanks. We have our own program. Honestly, it's not that complicated for us to be able to make our own beverage." They compared it to the mojito, for example. They're like, "I can make a mint syrup and sell it with club soda, not a problem." But since we were there, we're like, can you just indulge us and like give us some feedback? Because we really respect what you're doing and we would love to hear if you have any recommendations on how we can improve our product. And he's like, yeah, because you're here, might as well not waste your time. And at the time, we were sampling three, our hibiscus margarita, mojito, Paloma. He kind of cracks them up and goes through all three. And as he's drinking, like sipping each one, you can just see him spin a 180. And he's like, oh my God, these are so good. I honestly don't know like if they're gonna go, but let's go ahead and bring on two of these flavors into my other restaurant and see how it goes. And so for us, it was just the premium nature of the product convinced him. And so some like had I needed to push a little bit further, I would be like, yeah, your staff can make syrup, but how much labor are you putting into that? What is your volume? If it's high volume or low volume, canned products go really well because you need consistency. And both in high volume and low volume, you can have inconsistent experience. If you're high volume and your staff are having to constantly make syrups, you might save money by having a canned product. I did not end up having to say that to him because the beverage is what convinced him.
Man, you just gave a master class how to go on premise and
Yeah.
actually sell a canned product. By the way, I
Yeah.
You
mean,
did?
we'll repost that. By the way, it was brilliant in terms of. I mean, you're in the thick of it, right? And you're
Yeah.
talking to these folks. It's like, look, you can talk about consistency, talk about quality, and by the way, cost, because I'm actually going to reduce your cost by taking my product in. By the way, and it's
Exactly.
really freaking good. So give me an opportunity. That was absolutely brilliant. So why? So you know the category, obviously. You and your partner decided to get into this business. Why are consumers demanding this? Like, what are you seeing? Like, I read all the regs every morning. It's the spirit business is down. People are shifting. But from your standpoint, why are consumers demanding this?
Yeah, and I'm going to focus exclusively on mine, and I'm not going to do kind of broader non-alcoholic, which also, depending on who you talk to, includes
Yeah.
THC, which is a different consumer than who is coming to per se. It's folks who want to fully participate without kind of intoxication.
Yeah.
So, or it's in a moment that they want to be able to extend the moment but need to quit drinking. So, 92% of people that buy non-alcoholic beverages also drink. So, the majority of people kind of in our world, they might be sober, they might zebra stripe, they might be not drinking in perpetuity or not drinking today or at this moment. And so it's people who are already in a drinking occasion that want an option that cannot be intoxicated for whatever reasons. They're watching their kids, they're currently expecting, they have a big presentation tomorrow and they don't want to be hungover. And the social environment like requires an elevated beverage beyond the water, tea, sodas that we were talking about
For
earlier.
years, I used to get cranberry juice to make it look like I was drinking something
Right.
at events.
I have drank a
Because
lot of tea, and despite being incredibly vocal about my intention of never having kids, I would be asked if I was pregnant. Cool.
amazing.
Well, I gotta interrupt real quick. The comments are blowing up. I think you're quickly becoming a fan favorite, Hallie.
Oh, there you go.
We
All right, we're gonna move her up in the line though and post the newsletter
right,
today.
exactly. So, I personally, I have to go back to. I may get this as a tattoo because I've never heard it before, but I thought the riches are in the niches is just, mwah. It's just, oh, I love it so much. So we got several comments I got to get through. So Chris said, to your point on asking for feedback and being consistent and being persistent. Selling doesn't tell you no 3 times. Peter said that is a spot most brands get stuck in the mud. What is it? Like recognizing your lane is a huge step forward. Koch said, I suggest you look up Sober, S-O-B-R market in Canada. She and his wife, presumably the owners, have stores in Walmart Canada fast. They are also HQ'd in Winnipeg, which is close to your hometown in St. Paul, just FYI. Peter said, if Hallie wants some input or support on that issue, I am here to help. I assume on the branding and the telling the story side.
Yeah, people came out today to play on Saturday.
Yeah, we really did.
I'm not done yet. Chris said the brand seems to have, and you said it as he was typing it, which I thought was so cool. He said the brand seems to have more on-premise applications as more buyers are understanding and embracing the zebra striping trend. And then Koch said, hey, Peter, almost ready to get back in the batter's box. And I'm going to refresh my screen and maybe we have more. But I mean, to Sam's point, everything you're saying is just, it's the shit that we hammer home with the brands we talk to. And so to talk to some, every time we talk to somebody who we're not currently working with, who good, bad, or otherwise to their own trials and tribulations is like, no, this is the way this happens. It might not be pretty, it might not be quick, but it works, and here's proof. Just, so good.
Yeah.
Well, you
it's
brought a
definitely not
systems
pretty.
mindset, right? So so public policy maybe does go well with beverages because what you described and how you communicated to that on-premise venue what they need to do. Did you take that like what you do and the public policy and bring it to the beverage business?
I did. So mention unlikely entrepreneur. Day job is transportation policy, currently working at the Minnesota Department of Transportation in Bridge. I have 34 engineers and engineer specialists reporting to someone with a public health degree, which is really unlikely. So I say that I work at a systems level, and that was in my bio. Thank you for sharing. And what that means is I work at a high level across like functional areas and across fields to try to find who are the decision makers and what are the friction areas. So where are we kind of like, where's the rub that is preventing us from being able to be successful? So backgrounds in public health, I wanted to make the healthy choice the easy choice. And I ended up in a field of transportation because some of the decisions that we're making are 20, 30, or in the case of Bridge, 80 years out. So like when we build a bridge, we want it around for 80 years. So if I can embed health and equity considerations into that infrastructure, the decision's done. Like no one has to fight for it for the next 3 generations. And so like how I bring that into beverage is I'm trying to identify trends and opportunities, working with unlikely partners to be able to move friction points and zero in on who the decision maker is. So in the conversation with that one owner, I knew I had the right person because oftentimes when you walk in and you talk to the program manager or the bartender, they're not actually the decider. They may be, they may not be. And I was at like understanding what are your friction points, and he said we have a good program, we're fine. And it's like, oh, you want a premium option? These are premium. So you have to listen closely to like what is the predominant thing that you're hearing in that moment from that person. And then you find kind of trends over time to build your strategy. I'm also in a field where I get a lot of feedback loudly, not necessarily in nice ways. And sometimes you just have to say thank you for the feedback. You find the truth that they're sharing, compile it with other things that you've heard, and move on. Don't take it personally.
That is amazing. Again, you've taken something and you've basically distilled it down to a playbook and how you could approach an account. Because so many people go in, we always tell people, I need a sell sheet, I need a price, I need to know where to order it. And what you said is, besides all that stuff, you need to go in there and understand what their need is and have a conversation and listen to what they're saying. And then I guess devise a plan from that conversation. I'm kind of distilling it down, but did that capture the essence of what you do?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because we're going in with a mission to sell, right? And we don't realize how much of the industry is relationships. I mean, Adam and I acknowledged it at the top of the call that like we kind of keep kind of spinning and coalescing in this industry in different versions of what we're
Yeah.
working on. It's a really small world and it's really relationship dependent. And relationships are built over mutual understanding. So if you're just going in and constantly like giving your sell points but not listening, is this meeting their friction point? Is this solving their pain point? And you're not understanding what they need, then you're going to get those three no's and it's going to be a no. But if you walk in and you're like, hey, I want to share these products with you, but like tell me about non-alcoholic. Is this something that customers are asking for? How do you meet that need? What have you been bumping into? Being able to listen first builds rapport. People love to talk about themselves, and that will give you the information that you need to be able to make the sale.
That is
Totally.
amazing. I mean, we kind of touched base on this, but kind of going through a couple of things that we posted. So you're building this non-alcoholic brand. You said you picked a lane, right? Which I very much appreciate because we've talked to brands that are like, nope, we're a mixer and we're a non-alcoholic, and people zebra stripes. So you're really clear at what you're doing. You know, what three things or four things would you share with someone that's coming in the non-alcoholic category that's absolutely exploding? Which I'm curious. I don't even know how many players are in the category at this point. Like, how do you get someone to consider you for distribution? Now, I know the love letter, right? That's a great approach. And then once you get that love letter and get the two cases, go back in there and work at what you did. But what are the three or four things like things that people really need to consider, when entering this business?
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna have like a focused answer, so like please interrupt me if I kind of ramble. And I maybe only have two. Um, as annoying as it is as a social introvert, it's all about relationships. There's also a lot happening in the field right now because again, especially because we're fun, not functional, we play a little bit more alcohol adjacent. So our natural allies are like liquor spaces. Liquor
Yeah.
is having an identity crisis. First time in multiple generations, these businesses that were founded by someone's grandfather or great grandfather are like having to dump all their products and being bought up by Johnson Brothers. And it's like they don't. So when I say like it's a crisis, and it's coalescing with change in drinking habits, an economic crisis. It is hard out there right now. And part of it is like when people are being bought up, brands are being dumped into the market and they're all trying to like find new distribution. And we're up against that. The other thing is like liquor retail, if they believe, or sorry, liquor distribution, if they believe
You
in
just spoke
M&A.
about RDC Reyes,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. If they believe in the product, they think that you're going to replace their dwindling sales, and you're just not because people are
Yeah.
changing how they're drinking.
Mhm.
So one, you have to know the context that you're playing in because and especially without a relationship, it is so hard to open a door. So part of the work is, and it's kind of related, you got to be persistent, professionally persistent. Don't be rude. Don't take it personally. Like the dollars are in the follow up, and you got to continue to work to build those relationships because even a no now doesn't mean a no forever. In a year, 2 years, 3 years, when things settle down and they're
So
bringing
don't
back
ever
more
accept a
product,
no.
they want
Just
to
keep
choose
on going
you.
back. Be
Yeah,
persistent.
yeah, yeah,
Show up and follow up. So many people will just take
yeah,
the no. All right, well, they didn't want it, right? So we have we
yeah.
have reps out in the marketplace, obviously, and we'll do like recaps on our CRM, and you'll see account didn't want it. But what I really like is one of our reps up there. Like I see like 10 times I've gone in an account, 10 times. 10
Right,
no's. So
right,
eventually, to
right.
your point, they're going to say yes at some point, but maybe we're not asking the right question, right? Or maybe we're not listening to your point. Maybe we need to
Right.
ask more questions and step back and listen versus selling.
Yeah, I've also had a couple of distributors that are like, now is not a good time. That's not a no. Like, again, if you listen really
Yeah.
closely, they didn't tell me no. They said not now. And so it's then incumbent on me every quarter or every 6 months when I have something to share or I see news about them to send an email, be polite, be professional, because 2 years from now, I want them to think of my brand when they're ready to bring on mocktails.
It made me think of that movie. Was it with the one he said when he's asking for a date or whatever, and she keeps on saying no, and he goes, "Well, you mean there's a chance?" I can't remember the name of the
Yeah, yeah.
movie.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. That's yes. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
I got to jump in again here real quick. So Chris asked, I'm trying to keep tight on the comments. So it's that Pour Proof said, has she had the opportunity to engage with any non-alc spirits to try and? You mentioned the distributors pushing the connection with spirits as an accessory sale. Have there been any conversation? He's just curious on non-alc spirits in partnership with your product.
Not systemically. So we have a couple of brands
Sure.
that we really like. Abstinence, for example, is one of my favorites. The founders, fantastic. Ultimate Hustlers, really inspired by the work that they do. We've done a couple of tasting events together. We don't have a lot of overlap in our accounts, but where we do have opportunity, we have found some pairings that make a lot of sense. And then there's a distribution partner in Georgia who brought on like 4 or 5 brands that they thought worked really well together to be kind of mixed and replayed to make a lot of different options for accounts. So they have done it. But I would say, like, overall, this is still just like a really hard space wise, and that takes like time and investment.
Well, I
So
don't
there
know if
are
it
there
was
are a
real
couple
or
of
not.
examples in the field, but this is a hard space.
Well, I think that's an interesting play for you to consider.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is real or not. Maybe someone can confirm that's in the chat. But I think I read that Johnny Walker has an NA Scotch, that these products are coming out. I don't know if it was an April Fool's joke, but I think that these bigger suppliers like Diageo, and again, I don't know. I swear I thought I saw something with Johnny Walker not having alcohol in it, or they de-alcoholize it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You bring up an interesting one with Diageo because I think they're the ones that bought Ritual. Ritual is launching its own RTD. So there's also like, yeah, potential for collab, but some of the bigger ones are also seeing the power and having a ready to drink option and doing their own development.
Yeah, I mean, within the adult beverage category, RTDs is the one that's growing right now, right? You
Yeah.
got wine is having this moment, spirits is down, and then these distributors, to your point, are getting bought up. These family-owned
Yeah.
businesses, right? And then they're laying off people, and they're focused against logistics or their top suppliers within their portfolios, right? So meanwhile, you have all these suppliers within the distributor portfolio not getting focus. And then so what you said earlier, like boots on the ground is, I mean, how do you do that? Do you have ambassadors? Like, how do you go to market? Is it just you and your partner out there doing it? Because
Yeah.
certainly the distributor can't be doing all this for you. I'm assuming you've experienced,
Oh,
like
no.
everybody, that the distributor doesn't necessarily pull you out of the bag without you showing up. So I don't know if that's true or not true for you.
Is true. Helpful that we go with smaller distributors. So it's easy to get a little bit more care and attention when they don't have as big of a portfolio. It's a little bit of yes and. My partner also has a job. His job is a little bit more flexible. He just spent time in Pipestone, Minnesota. And then after the job was done, he went over to Sioux Falls, pounded the pavement, hit up a couple of accounts there. And then the next week, he was in Davenport, Iowa. Same thing. Once he was done with his project, he went through Davenport, Cedar Rapids on the way back to Minnesota and hit up accounts. We are changing our beverage sample program. So normally we would go in and do demos. Uh, Sometimes that is just not economically sound for us when you consider how much you have to pay a person to be physically present. We are now doing like
Mhm.
giveaway. So we'll just send a couple of cases for a store to have on ice and hand out whole cans to people because
That is brilliant.
that
That
is
is
more
brilliant.
economical for us than it is to pay for a person to stand
Well,
there.
that's brilliant because you kind of create an ambassador in the store, right? So
Yeah.
when you're gone, if they believe in it and they're talking about it and they have something to give off,
Right.
that's really good. What's the going rate now for a tasting company? I get that asked all the time.
Yeah, I haven't used one recently, but even just like paying my niece, I'm paying like 15 to 20 bucks an hour. The minimum wage in the Twin Cities is 16 bucks or 16
Yeah.
and some change. And so I
Right.
feel like that's the least that I need to pay.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for setup, tear down. You can be in for $80. Well, I can send
Yeah.
a couple of cases for less than 80 bucks.
Yeah,
We used to
that
make
is true. That's actually a
When
good
I was
strategy, by the way, that you just shared. Is rather than overthinking, it's like basically when you do a tasting, maybe they want to just do it on the fly, especially for like packaged liquor stores, right? Like,
Yeah.
and places to go. Or do you go necessarily? You can go anywhere. Do you go to like workout studios? Do
Yeah.
you go other places other than the traditional places to buy your
Yeah.
product?
That's what's great about non-alcoholic is we're not bound. Like though we play in the three-tier system, we're not bound to the three-tier system. We also don't
Right.
have to have exclusivity, and we often don't. Sometimes we do, depending on the distribution partner. But lately, we've been hitting up pickleball courts mainly because I'm picking up pickleball, and so my partner is like, "This is great. Let's go see what they have." And some of them have restaurants or bars because they're being social spaces. And so there's a lot of opportunity here to think like less, work out and like where are people spending time and want to drink.
Well, I mean, we posted talk about the route to market. So you're definitely being creative on your route to market. One is how you do your tastings, but two is you're into pickleball. So let's go after pickleball. I mean, if you think about it, like they've converted all these tennis courts, or they're building pickleball courts
Hmm.
everywhere. Like I live down in Prior Lake, and over at the casino, they have Dakota. Dakota basically, and the basketball courts, they're mostly taken up by pickleball. They put the
Yeah, yeah,
pickleball
it's
nets
very
up, and everybody's on
trendy.
the basketball.
Mhm,
No one's playing basketball. Everybody's playing pickleball.
Yeah.
So to
mhm,
go after that
mhm.
channel of business, or like experience, I guess, right? So
Mhm.
do you like maybe look at like where people are at, and you trying to grab your brand and make it part of the experience? Is that what you're
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's helping because one of the things that's hard with non-alcoholic drinks is people don't understand the drinking occasion. A
Yeah.
little less so for NA beer. I don't understand why it doesn't translate the same way for NA mocktail, like mocktails, NA cocktails, but like people understand a little bit more. I can drink NA beer when I would otherwise drink beer. And so I don't understand why it doesn't translate as much. I can drink a mocktail when I would otherwise have a cocktail. And so we're having to help people understand the drinking occasion for non-alcoholic drinks more than what I think is intuitive. So being in the places and spaces where people are socializing and you're wanting to encourage that drinking occasion is a way to help people then like associate opportunity with your brand and your product.
Amazing.
So I gotta jump in before I lose the opportunity, and the answer can be no. For as much as you're willing to share, given that you are a entrepreneur, a full time entrepreneur, but still working a full time job, right? So you essentially have two roles. Uh, I know your operation, all of your partners, but your operations partners, the fact that you can trust them to make consistent product, quality product, whether that's an ingredient provider, a service provider, a co-man. Are you willing to give any shout outs to some of those partners?
Yeah, for sure. So we have been formulating with Leyline out of New York. Fantastic, especially if you
Oh,
want
Charlotte and
non-alcoholic
Matthias,
They,
products.
love
they've
those
been on the
guys.
they've been on the podcast, by the way.
Aren't
And
they
on the
like
show. Yes.
the most beautiful humans ever? They're so great.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then we work with BevSource as an intermediary. So we work with
Cool.
BevSource to put in orders at flavor houses. They kind of consolidate so we get a little bit of a discount because we're kind of like buying into their discount. So they've been a
Hmm.
good partner.
Good.
We have done some production with Niche out of Cincinnati. Highly recommend.
Scotty
MOQs
and
were a
Brett.
little,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, also
Yes.
good people, right?
Yes.
MOQs were a little bit bigger than what we needed for some of our recent product launches. So we've also been working with Big Y out of Minneapolis. We're also happy to have like brought it back to Minnesota. We when we first
Are these
started,
co-packers, by the way, Niche and
yeah,
Big
yeah.
One?
Sorry, these two are co-packers. So Niche, co-packer, Big Watt, a co-packer. When we were Muddle and Mint, we worked with Aqua Vitae out of Vermont. Also
Mhm.
fantastic people. Again, MOQs were a little bit bigger than what we needed because we're, especially in non-alc, we have to pivot so quickly
Mhm.
that we needed to stop buying 10 pallets of product. Like that is just so much money and so much inventory when you know within a half a palette if people even like the product. So we've been needing to find places with slightly smaller MOQs. Big Watt has been that. I haven't mentioned we're in-housing our own production. So we are making the pivot to have a little bit more control. We will not be open for co-packing. Just FYI, no one reach out to me. That is not an interest of ours.
I was
But yeah,
thinking I'm going to call you. What's your
yeah.
number? Are you doing tunnel pasteurization too, and a whole bit, or what?
We are doing not tunnel, a bath. Why can't I remember the word right
Oh,
now?
sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so you dunk it and then pull it out.
got you.
Cool. Well, thank you for indulging me. Obviously, I love the only folks on that list I've not worked directly with recently. I know them, but it's been a hot minute. Have been the Big Watt folks. Um, but I mean, I've literally got emails from yesterday from Charlotte Matthias. I was texting Scotty last night at Niche. The BevSource crew. I had lunch with a former colleague from there 2 days ago, and I still talk to those folks. So like, that's why I love doing this because I, so many, again, Sam and I have had folks on the show and we both talk to brands, but they'll be like, well, yeah, I'm going to work with this group. And it doesn't mean that if we've never heard of them that they're not, good partners, right? But it's, well, what do you know about them? What's the level of trust there? How much are they going to be able to accomplish? Because especially if this is not your 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
whoever you're working with that's going to be doing stuff during 9 to 5, like the level of trust there has to be fucking immense, right? Because
Yep.
then when you get off and it's 5:30 or 6 and you're like, cool, what happened today? It can't be a list of fucking dumpster fires,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it
And so I
definitely
love
can't be.
hearing, I
Well,
love
that's one of the
hearing
reasons
not
we
only
created
the
the podcast,
partners.
right? One of the reasons here, so there's like information here that people can go find with all
Yeah.
these great partners and services, and then you or whomever can decide, do I want to work with them, right? Like literally, there's like like Roger Lee, the attorney in California. He has like this. I don't know if he still has it, but he had like this startup package, show your business, and it's an attorney, a bunch of attorneys that support entrepreneurs, right? So someone starting out like, hey, I could call Roger Lee and they could help me set up a business, or let me call Hallie and Haley. I mean Haley, sorry, Hallie, sorry, and ask her. Because a lot of founders love to help founders,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, you guys, you all share and learn. It's such a cool industry when it comes to that. People are very communicative because we all are going for the same thing, is to bring a good product to market. To get
Absolutely.
past the gatekeepers and the 3-tier system. I mean, we got to get past the retailer and the distributor, and before you ever reach the consumer. So
Absolutely.
it's good. That's one of the reasons we do what we do, is to have these conversations.
Yeah, and in this market in particular, a small business is being backed by a bunch of small businesses, right? That's just the way that it happens. You're not able to do it by yourself. And that was also like a lesson that we learned, and part of the reason why we didn't have a lot of success in 2020. Again, coming from public policy, I had no idea what I was supposed to do. And BevSource was like one of the first people that called us back and helped us to like understand the lay of the land. And then from there, we were able to get in with industry events. We networked. I think it took me like 3 years to be able to find Leyline as a formulator that we wanted to work with. But by then, we also had more experience, more information. We're able to ask the right questions. So it's also being willing to, one, network, follow up things that we've already talked about, and iterate, being willing to try out different things.
You just said something really powerful. Do you know what you just said, by the way? Did you catch it?
I didn't.
A small business being backed up by a
Mm.
bunch of small businesses. Do you know how powerful that is?
Small business is what makes the US economy. Like we talk a lot about big corporations, and I don't remember the percent, but like a significant percent of America is actually like just small business. And it's so important that we make sure that we support them. I appreciated the invitation to be able to call out some of our great collaborators, because when you like go to the Per Se website, you don't understand all the people that are helping us actually deliver this product. Um, in our first, and another person that I haven't shouted out, our person that's helped with our design, Matt with Seventh Fury. He did our design for Muddle and Mint and for Per Se, and on the Muddle and Mint can, we put his name on it because we wanted to be like, hey, this design was
Oh,
by this person, so that people could figure out like we don't do this ourselves. We have like other folks who help with us. So we do try to find pathways to be able to compliment people. And spoiler, that's an upcoming LinkedIn series for me, is being able to
Oh,
talk about all the great people who help to build Per Se. It's not just me and my partner.
I love that. Please, please invite us in or whatever, or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
remind us or text us and say, hey, this series is starting, so we'd love to participate and communicate. That's so powerful. I think of movies, what we just talked about. You know, when you watch a movie at the end, the credits at the end, and
Yeah,
people don't realize what it takes to make a movie and all those
absolutely.
jobs that it creates. And then you think about it when you're going in the packaged liquor store. And someone said this the other day. They said, I was one of our partners that goes on the boots on the ground, and he was saying, you know, June is for Diageo and the big guys, and everything's wrapped up. And I'm like, wait a minute, all those independent packaged liquor stores in Texas, this is small businesses being driven by small businesses. Don't forget about 90% of the business and the economy is driven by working with us. So don't let, and nothing against the Diageos of the world. They got to do what they got to do, grow their business. They
Right.
bring value too. But my point is don't give that, you know, per se the opportunity for distribution because you're locked down for the month of June because you got to close someone else's fiscal year. Put
Right.
people to work. Like, my
Right. Right.
God, this
Well, and
resonates with
what's
me. Sorry, I
yeah,
went
and
down
what's
there.
great
Yeah,
about
it's
something
so
like Per
important.
Se is we can be an incremental sale. Fine, it's about Diageo, but like while you're presenting, you could be like, "Hey, we have this mocktail. Want to buy a case?" Like
Yeah,
it's a way that you
it's
can
not
get
going to
like
break your
more
bank, by the way. Just
Yeah,
put a
yeah.
case in here, and
Yeah.
I'll send 2 cases in for you to taste. Your
Right.
consumers
Exactly.
master class. Okay, so I Adam, you need to ask the most important question, and then we'll can continue the conversation. But there's a very important question we need to ask.
I'm actually going to start before I forget with a very easy question, which is, Hallie, before we let you go, where do folks find you and or your product, either online or elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the easiest way to find us in person is to go to our cocktail finder at persaydrinks.com. That helps to identify opportunities to find it in person. Otherwise, you can order it from us directly, again, persaydrinks.com. And on social, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, we are at persaydrinks.
Is that
Beautiful.
right
Thank
there?
you.
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
Awesome. Beautiful. Then now the very important question is, what is the difference between success and failure?
Oh, a willingness to learn. I don't think that failure is a problem. Failure is how we learn. Mistakes are how we learn. Honestly, sometimes like the hill that we need to overcome is the person that we become in overcoming, right? Like that's the process is it's who I become through that for the next iteration and the lessons that we carry forward with us.
Beautiful. I
What
love it.
what keeps you from quitting? You have to have had obstacles though, so you've learned from it. But what keeps you going?
Stubborn persistence and a great partner. Honestly, so the other thing about public policy, again, people are like, why do you do this? The feedback loops in transportation, years. They're years long. Like we're dealing with decisions that are like 10 to 15 years in the making. So I'm wired for persistence and patience. A lot of businesses have already folded in this category. I probably should have, but I'm too dumb to know better because I wasn't built in this field. And I'm persistent because I know that the category is emerging and we have to give it time to be able to play out to even understand how we fit in it.
Amazing. All right. So, is there anything that we did not cover today that you want to convey to our community and your community too, by the way? So, welcome to the community.
Absolutely.
That you want to share with the group.
Yeah, a hard lesson for me is know what the work is. So, a lot of advice that people give entrepreneurs are like, start before you're ready, fundraise more than you need to. By the way, we haven't fundraised, like, this is all self-funded. My advice is know what the work is. Having a beverage company fun, it's not making new flavors. You actually don't want a ton of SKUs in the beginning until you have brand recognition. You actually need to have a more limited. If you have a brick and mortar, obviously a little bit different, but like I didn't know it was sales and marketing. It's been a hard lesson. I've had to learn a lot. I embarrass myself a lot. I'm very cringe. That's how you do the work.
go get in the mud, as my friend Josh Wan would say. I know
Yeah.
Josh Wan, Force Brands, but he told me I was becoming an entrepreneur 4 years ago. Not because I wanted to, because I had to, just to let you know. So I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
pushed off the cliff into this. But he said you got to be willing to play in the mud.
Exactly. You got to know what the work is, and you have to be willing to do it.
Yeah, that is true. Or you got to be able to, once the work comes, you got to be able to just to plow through it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or if you're in an area where you have the opportunity and privilege, hire it out. Like know what you're not good at, right? Like but you
Yeah.
have to have so much self-awareness about what you can do, what you can't do, how you can get it done, outsource aggressively if you're able to. And the power is in the follow through.
Yeah.
Like even doing one sales call a day means that at the end of the week you've done seven, rather than trying to put it off and hoping that like distributors will do it for you.
Oh my gosh, you just talked about Kaizen, the Kaizen
Exactly.
principle. Those small steps
Hmm.
over
Yeah.
time will have an impact and will change habits over time. I try to do that too. Like when I look at my office, I'm like, okay, I'll just take one thing out of the office and throw it away.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I'll go in the
Well,
office, I'll red tag everything. If I don't touch it, then I'll make sure that it continues on or whatever. But
yeah.
so brilliant. So we should go around the room one more time. And Adam, once you have some closing thoughts, we'll go to Hallie, and then I'll close it down for the weekend.
Look, I enjoy all of these things to a pretty good degree. This one was definitely in terms of just everything you want to know, right? Having parts on both sides of the business, being understanding your niche and driving that, being willing to people, oh, there's a mixer, this no, it isn't. This like my messaging will be right. Uh, Keeping it simple. I mean, the comment you made two difference in analysis paralysis thinking shit catches people than most of problems, right? Like obviously and all of that matters. But man, just spinning new shit that you don't need to be focused on catches more people than I can count. So that's a way for me to say, like, I'm gonna play. I say this every now and again when we have an episode like this, but I'm gonna make required listening for I'm working with when they say, I'm not even in the market yet. Let me start a new line. The fuck you will, right? No. So that's my 2 cents for today.
Hallie?
Hallie, what about you?
Yeah, I just want to also take space to thank you all. I think we don't always understand how important it is to have places and spaces like this to be able to connect and amplify. It's a great public service that you're providing for the category, and one that I think a lot of people don't appreciate. Just really grateful to be able to spend Saturday morning with you all, and I look forward to follow up as we're now part of each other's network.
Well, for me, the riches are in the niches. So I'll be finding that and replaying the episode soon, probably today, by the way, because I absolutely loved speaking with you today. Also, the second thing that resonated with me is it's a community of small businesses helping small businesses. And that literally is another master class of how you go into these independent stores or places. You're a small business, I'm a small business. Why wouldn't you give me an opportunity and go back to that love letter you wrote and you were complimentary about what they were doing, right? And then you got that meeting and you told them what you were going to do. Hey, look, give me a chance. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the liquid to lips. I'm going to do the heavy lifting. I'll do everything the big boys do. I'm here locally. I'm a small business. And the brilliance of you taking public policy, from building bridges, to the beverage business. I mean, you've bridged those two things together, no pun intended, but boom. I mean, that's just brilliant. And I implore everybody to go back and listen to this today. Put your headphones on because what you shared was absolutely brilliant. With that, we'll close it down for the morning, and get everybody to their Saturdays. And those of you that are fathers or have fathers, I guess everybody has a father. So happy Father's Day. It's a big day for many of us fathers or people that have fathers. I'm very grateful. I wouldn't be here without my father, so I'm grateful. So everybody enjoy your weekend. With that, we'll close down. Please remain on the line, and then we'll let everybody get to their Saturday.